Alterac isn't missing from Azeroth's maps. It was erased. No crumbling towers, no grand tombs, just silent peaks where even the wind carries old lies. Was this Blizzard's plan? A story left untold? No. This is what happens when every ruler, every power, decides a kingdom must vanish. But buried truths, they always claw their way back. The traitor's coin hidden in Dalaran's sewers, an ode to what this kingdom stood for. Alterac didn't just betray the alliance, they rewrote the rules of war. When the orcs poured in through their gates during the Second War, it wasn't just cowardice, it was calculation. King Perinold knew the Horde would lose, he counted on it. Because even in the chaos of defeat, he could negotiate, trade one kingdom's survival for all of Lordaeron's secrets. Anduin Lothar's death at the hands of Orgrim Doomhammer? Again, Alterac spies ensured he walked into that ambush. Stormwind refugees slaughtered on the roads? Alterac scouts misdirected them into troll territory. But the real insult? After the war, when Tyrannus Menethil demanded justice, Perinold smiled as the noose tightened, because he had already won. The Syndicate still uses Perinold's personal cipher in their letters. Find it in Southshore quests from pre-Cata Hillsbrad. With a little digging in WoW.tools and courtesy of a legacy WoW model viewer, some notable things that I did find. There was an alpha WoW map of Alterac Valley where the Syndicate capital was Alterac. It had like a palace and everything. There was cut NPC dialogue from Lord Davil Prester. The Lion of Stormwind owes us a kingdom, and we will collect it. There is one final thing, a little hidden texture, a blood-stained treaty in Stranbrad's Inn, signed by Alterac, Colteras, and the Scarlet Crusade. I will get back to Stranbrad Inn because that is a hidden dungeon location. So a little bit more backstory here. The Syndicate were not just bandits. They were Alterac's nobility. Its spy masters, bankers. When the Alliance burned their kingdom, they simply moved the money. From the shadows of Stranbrad, they built a shadow empire. One that owned half of Lordaeron's debts. They funded both sides of the Third War. They planted agents in Stormwind's court. Yeah, even Onyxia answered to them once. And their grand plan? Not revenge, restoration. To reclaim Alterac not through war, but through gold, through secrets, through knowing exactly where every noble buried their sins. Even Varian left them alone. For some are just truly untouchable. Now, the part we were all waiting for. The Cut Alterac Dungeon. Thanks to a little help from wowmodelviewer again, the Alterac Dungeon, a gold hoard littered with child-sized skeletons, possibly Perinold's hostages, found beautifully displayed underneath Stranbrad Inn. In one Vanilla WoW interview, a developer said it was too grim and they had to cut the torture ledgers. Anyway, in 2004, beneath Stranbrad Tavern, there was meant to be a dungeon, Alterac Vault, not of gold but of blackmail. Scrolls proving Lordaeron knew of the betrayal weeks before it happened. Lists of Stormwind nobles who took Alterac coin. And worst of all, the children. Dozens of them vanished during the Second War, last seen in Alterac's palaces. Blizzard cut it all, but the code remains, even today. Syndicate NPCs in Colteras and Stromgarde still trade those secrets. Anduin knows, Turalyon knows, but the real question is who is left to punish? The nobles are dust, the king is a corpse on a forgotten gallows, and there's all left is the gold and the ghosts. Now, the first cut quest, courtesy of WoW.tools, the quest ID 6881. Unfortunately, now it has been rewritten and it is a different quest in vanilla. However, it stated, "Bring me the crimson docket and burn the rest." This was a pendant inside the Alterac vault. The next quest, quest ID 6882, Trials of the Traitor. This attributed to the Oathbreaker Trial, a room where ghosts of Alliance players replayed their deaths, accusing players of being just like Alterac. But the vault was meant to be dynamic. If you free a prisoner, they'd join your party. Kill them, the next boss would recognize you and beg for mercy. 2 voice lines during this event, again courtesy of wowtools. V0 Alterac, Lord Falathel, "You dare judge me, look in the mirror, hero." VO Alterac Valenforth, "The Oathbreaker dies, the loyal join me." Now you might be thinking that dynamic dungeons are a little bit too high-tech for vanilla WoW. And you would actually be right. There was a second iteration where they were going to bring Alterac Vault into World of Warcraft, and it was through Cataclysm. There was a data mined dungeon entry where it stated, "Players who spare the prisoner will face Lord Faltharel as a friendly NPC," which suggests that they were fully implementing it into a random dungeon. Alterac Vault was erased twice. First in vanilla, when Blizzard scrapped the Syndicate storyline, and then again in Cataclysm, when its time-bending trials were deemed too controversial. Truly, in 2010, it was cut for being a moral dilemma. This was a rough exposure of horrific cases where the Alliance were not our ally. They were evil. Now, you may have heard stories about Alterac, the odd one, especially from Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. But Blizzard knew, and Blizzard hinted in the game in World of Warcraft, the traitor's coin in Dalaran. If you flip it, it's double-headed. Both sides lose. Today, the Syndicate should be extinct, but walk through Stromgarde's cellars, see their banners hung where Danis men pretend not to look. Listen to Tyrellian's generals mutter about cleansing the mountains, and ask yourself, why does the Alliance still fear a dead kingdom? Because Alterac's real crime was not betrayal. It was proof. Proof that every king has a price. And now, with Tyrellian on the throne, the last Syndicate lords are running out of time and options. So next time you pass those empty mountains, listen close. Someone is still laughing, and they are not done yet. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any suggestions for another video, I would really appreciate them. Please subscribe if you do like this kind of content. I am trying to better the storytelling each time, and I really appreciate you guys' input. Thank you so much for making it this far, and have a lovely day.